coming!
On May 10th.
Come on!
Get underground! Take cover right now!
The producers of Jurassic Park and the director of Speed bring you face to face with Twister.
Get out of there!
Hurry!
There's no place to run.
Right!
There's nowhere to hide.
Left!
No time to escape.
Right!
Don't think.
It's gonna drop right on us! Find something to grab a hold of!
Don't breathe. And never, ever look back. Twister. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, May 10th at a theater near you.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Do You Even Movie? I am of course your host Henrique Couto here with Double D, the master of Twister himself, Louis de Neuer.
Greetings, everybody.
And so Twister is your favorite game?
I mean, I used to play it a lot when I was a kid.
Really?
I wasn't very good at it. I mean, I was fair at it. God, I would love to actually try Twister. It's been forever.
Well, now you're over 30. Good luck. It's called sleeping 8 hours.
The way that
How do you bend?
The way that you just said that hurt more than I think you meant for it to, but at the same time, probably not.
No, I mean, well, again, because of the creaky bones.
The creaky bones,
It's going to start to hurt. It's going to start to hurt.
Them bones,
Hey,
them dry bones.
I had like a slip disc from sleeping once.
I mean, I hurt myself when I sleep a lot, too.
Well, I mean, you abuse yourself before you go to sleep, too.
I have terrible posture and back issues. What do you want?
You have had a bad back, like, as long as I've known you.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do to it?
I'm just tall. Tall people just have back problems, unfortunately. I mean, I have terrible posture, and I mean,
you have rough posture.
Oh, I have bad posture. And the other thing is that with my bad posture is I used to like sleep in probably the most oddest of positions. Like I could easily like crash on my couch growing up as a kid at my parents' house. I would sleep to where it was like I would almost be in like a J formation. Like I would have my head like cocked a certain way back and like it's weird. I slept in really weird positions growing up.
I just didn't sleep on a bed for 10 years.
I mean, yes, there's that too.
I mean, I don't think it hurt my back, actually.
No.
I think it was good for my back.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
You never know. Well, anyway, tonight we're kicking off our summer films.
Oh, we already kicked it off.
Yes. We're continuing.
Yes.
Continuing our summer
Because last
film.
week we did Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes, which was quite the memory lane trip.
Yeah, yes.
But before we get to that, did you want to touch on MaxXxine a little bit? Because
I think we should actually,
literally
just saw it.
Got back from the theater after seeing MaxXxine, and now that I've said MaxXxine 3 times, YouTube's gonna shadow ban us because it thinks I'm saying vaccine.
Probably, yeah. I would not doubt that.
But no, we just went to see Ty West's latest film, MaxXxine, which is, of course, the third in the X trilogy.
This is true.
With X and Pearl and then MaxXxine.
Even though it's technically Pearl, X, and then MaxXxine.
Well, it's the order of release, not the order of the story
I'm just saying chronologically.
Well, I mean, I guess like in canon chronologically.
Yes.
Because
Pearl's the prequel, and then X, and then MaxXxine's the sequel to X.
Do you always watch Back to the Future 3 first? Because you're like, whoa, this is the Old West.
I've never thought about it that way. You know, maybe I should. Maybe I should start with 3, go to 1, and then 2 from now on.
Or you know what you could do is, because you got the box set, right?
Yeah.
Would you have the Blu-ray or the 4K?
I've got the Blu-ray.
The blue one?
Yeah.
Shove it up your ass.
Hey, Mr. Fancy fucking 4K, though, you don't have the complete series, the TV series that the Blu-ray does.
I know, but I was one of the people who found it on eBay when it was only $14.
Yep.
And they decided to honor the price instead of admitting they messed up.
There is that.
So that 4K was a delight.
God, yes.
Anyway.
I love Amazon when they mess things
Oh,
up.
this was on eBay.
Was it eBay?
But it was
Okay.
Universal's own store.
Oh, was it that one that got, like, where people were getting, like, the Dexter Complete series for, like, $20 and whatnot? Like,
It was so bizarre.
There was an eBay store that got majorly messed up.
No, it was Universal's eBay store that was selling Back to the Future 4K, all 3 films for $14.
Jeez.
And everybody was buying them. They were like, we'll see if they honor it. And they honored most of them. So
Yeah.
I got mine in the mail.
We've had a couple slip-ups that we've taken advantage of. My favorite is probably still to this day is Savini Jason.
Yeah, we all were able to just buy
It was
it
a glitch, yeah.
on
a
the
glitch
Friday the 13th
the day
video
you got
game.
me my PS4.
You're not talking about MaxXxine,
I'm
though.
sorry. Okay,
So-
back to MaxXxine, yes.
We went to by the time you're watching this, it'll be out nationally.
Yeah.
But we went to a preview screening the day before the
Early
4th of
access
July,
screening,
the
yep.
early access. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed, but for the record, I consider Pearl a 5-star film.
It's a masterpiece.
So when I say something didn't live up to Pearl, that's high praise.
Yeah.
So I was honestly like, part of me was hoping, I was like, what if this blows me away just like Pearl did?
Yeah.
But X also did not blow me away.
No.
I thought X was fun. I thought Pearl was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I thought MaxXxine was a fun 80s romp.
It was a good conclusion for the series if they stick with it, because you told me as we were driving back here that Ty West did say that if it does well, there might be a fourth one.
He would be willing to develop another one.
I'm just going to go on record. There does not need to be a fourth one.
I think it's a nice, neat trilogy.
Mhm.
Each one takes place in a different decade,
Yeah.
which I thought is a cool concept. And they're all massively different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you've got X, which is like basically Texas Chainsaw slasher film with porn mixed in.
Ish. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, porn's more the theme,
Yeah.
rather than the actual point.
action. Yeah. Then you've got Pearl, which is a complete just descent into madness character study. God.
A la Wizard of Oz, almost.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then MaxXxine is basically the final conclusion to all that, where her character from X is now basically a big porn star, and she's also trying to break into movies, but somebody from her past has come back.
It takes place in 1985.
Yeah.
So it's right when porn was at the height of glamour of porn had ended.
Yeah.
And now home video's taking over, and it's kind of losing the glamour to an extent. And I'll just say, if you liked Pearl and you liked X, there is absolutely no reason to miss MaxXxine.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because it's going to sound like I'm crapping all over it because I have complaints.
Yeah.
I've realized about myself that I complain the most about things I like.
Yeah, you do.
I bitched about the 3rd season of The Bear with my friend Michelle for an hour. And I like The Bear.
Yeah.
I thought the 3rd season wasn't by any means terrible.
Yeah.
I just had problems with how they did some of it. With MaxXxine, I thought they really had something interesting.
Yeah.
The giallo flourish, the
Yes.
Italian horror flourishes were really cool. The 1980s set pieces and clothing really on point.
They nailed it. The video store shots they had. I mean, just the walk down Hollywood Boulevard felt like you were fucking
night,
there.
Yeah.
And I mean, and also I was very on the fence with the whole Night Stalker tie into it, but they handled it well, I thought.
I thought it was a clever element.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of elements of the Satanic Panic in there too. Like that's kind of a major thing. If anything, I think the Night Stalker was less of a thing than the Satanic Panic element. But we talked about this at the theater.
Yeah.
I think that the 3rd act was not as good as the rest. Well, of the 3 films, it has the most predictable plot.
Absolutely.
And that's saying something because X, for being a paint-by-number slasher movie, is completely unpredictable.
Completely unpredictable.
That third act is so insane.
Yeah.
If you guessed that was going to happen, I don't want to sit in a room alone with you.
Yeah.
And the same with Pearl. If you guessed how Pearl was going to end, then you're psycho.
Yeah.
So I liked it, but I will admit, without spoilers, I guessed the killer.
You did.
And I was so disappointed that I was right.
We both were. I think, honestly, my biggest issue with it was it just didn't feel like any of the shock value from like Pearl and X were there in this one. It didn't feel like anything was really into a bigger scale.
Well, I mean, the kills, some of them were insanely gruesome.
They were, yes, I'll give you that.
But I agree. I mean, the Pearl had so many massive shocks, and they were always thematic.
Yeah.
They always mattered to what was happening in the story. And in X, the shocks were a little bit more predictable in that they were horror movie shocks.
Yeah.
But it was still a very surprising film with a lot of crazy shit going on.
And you know the one thing that I realized now just sitting here, you could actually watch all three of those films, pick one of them by themselves, and it would still stand up as a film on its own.
No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
I got to give credit to that at least.
I mean, MaxXxine is the most sequel-y sequel.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's kind of a direct follow-up to X, as to where Pearl is kind of a... I mean, it is a prequel, but it only has one character that's barely in X. But it's great. I mean, it's a phenomenal film. I think you could watch Pearl a million times.
No, absolutely.
So I all of this to say, MaxXxine was a lot of fun.
It was.
And as I often say, if you love horror films, the best thing you can do for them is see them in the theater.
Absolutely.
So that we keep getting them in the theater. And if you like the other two films, you're going to enjoy it. Mia Goth was great. Although that was the other thing, is I didn't feel like she got to be as I don't know if she could ever be as big of a tour de force as she was in Pearl.
Or X.
Well, in X, she was an ensemble.
Yeah.
Though. In Pearl, I mean, that's her film.
Yeah.
I mean, she co-wrote it. She, was so involved.
Yeah.
I feel like everything in comparison to the Pearl character feels half-baked, and that's not necessarily their fault.
Yeah.
It's because Pearl is, goddamn, it's like the most subtle beating with a baseball bat you could ever experience. Like, you're getting beaten with a baseball bat, but it's subtle. And by the time you're bleeding, you're like, hey, you're beating me with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. What's your final thought on MaxXxine?
Final thought is go if you are a fan of either, like Henrique said, X or Pearl, go see it because this is a decent conclusion to the trilogy if hopefully they do stop here. It's still a fun movie, even if because the last 20 minutes are batshit, but they're predictable batshit is the weirdest thing.
That was the only reason I was a little disappointed was because I gotten spoiled by the complete audaciousness of the other two films' final acts.
And not to give spoilers away, but it was kind of funny to me that the overall theme at the end of this one also had to do with the two trailers for the new A24 films that are coming out.
How do you mean? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right.
So they're on. I guess they're on a kick with that topic right now.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that was MaxXxine. Had a good time. It is. We're recording this very late at night because the sneak. What was it called? The
early access.
Early access screening. There was only one today.
Yep.
So we had to see it no matter what time it was and then jump into the show.
Twister.
And this is 1996's Twister, starring Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt.
Yes.
A film that if you were a child of the 90s, you saw a lot.
On cable, on tape. I mean, we joked about it before, but like this is one of those VHS tapes that we talked about where it's like when you went to somebody's house, they always had a copy of Men in Black, the Titanic 2-tape set, and this.
And Independence Day.
With the
lenticular box.
Yep.
I had that.
Yep.
So, no, I mean, I agree. It's one of those that was just ubiquitous.
Yeah.
So, Dave, why don't you dive into the deets on Twister?
All right. So we are talking about Twister from 1996, 1 hour and 53 minutes, rated PG-13 for intense depictions of very bad weather. That is the actual description, yes.
Okay, MPAA. Okay. You got him, MPAA. Jesus.
So our director on this is Jan de Bont, who gets his start as a basically a director of photography and a camera assistant. He gets his start as DP in 1971's Blue Movie. Then he does John the Knife in the River in 72, Turkish Delight in 73, Private Lessons in 81, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker in 81.
Were those earlier films porn?
The one of them was. I think Blue Movie was.
Yeah, because some of them kind of sound like they were exploitation films.
Yeah, I think Turkish Delight and Blue Movie might be the ones. Private Lessons I know is a comedy because I've got that in my voodoo. I just haven't watched it yet.
Well, because and since he went into Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker,
which he's uncredited on, goddammit.
Wait, so was there another DP on it?
Yeah, I believe so. Because I think we talked about him on this before. He shot a movie that we covered, which I think was. Give me a second here.
He was supposed to be prepared, kids.
I am prepared, but the problem is that there's just too much good information for me to keep track of all of it, all right?
Read as not prepared.
Shut your mouth. So, all right, so Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, 81. Let's see, cinematographer is...
You're going to want to click on all crew.
Where's all crew at?
I mean...
Shut up, I got it. There it is. They've moved stuff around on IMDb, all right? Give me
okay.
All right, so cinematographer was Robbie Greenberg, who I know that name because he's done something else.
One other thing.
One other thing. He shot something else we covered.
A single other
thing. Snow Day. He was the cinematographer on Snow Day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Snow Day was shot by the guy who shot Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. That's why we always cover the cinematographers, because you really don't know.
Oh, just wait. So because this is our director, but he also did cinematography work. So it is Roar in 81 as well, the Tippi Hedren lion movie where all those people got injured.
Yeah.
Dancing as Fast as I Can 82, Cujo 83, All the Right Moves 83, Flesh and Blood 85, Jewel of the Nile 85, Ruthless People 86, Who's That Girl 87, Die Hard 88, Black Rain 89.
Wait, he was the DP on Die Hard?
He was.
Wow.
Hunt for Red October in 1990, Flatliners 90, Basic Instinct 92, Lethal Weapon 3 92, and then 94 he has his directorial debut with Speed.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might need a little pick-me-up if you're working as a director, have a little take a look. Oh, you mean the movie
The movie Speed.
No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, he was like an in-demand DP.
So he does Speed in 94, Twister in 96, Speed 2 Cruise Control in 1997.
The better of the two.
I will defend Speed 2, even though it's not a very entertaining movie. The Haunting remake in 99, and then his last directorial debut, or directorial credit is Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then did he pass away, or?
Believe he...
Look at him not doing his research ahead of time.
I feel like he's still with us.
Why were you distracted?
Yeah, no, he's still with us.
Huh. But yeah, he's just not working anymore.
He just is not working for a little bit. The last thing he did was credit in 2012 on cinematography.
Oh, so he is still a cinematographer, though.
Yeah, but 2012 was his last credit.
He shot an episode of Tales from the Crypt, too.
Yeah, he, which one was it? I want to say, Split Personality, the one with Joe Pesci.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Jan de Bont, incredible body of work, and that just moves us down then to our writer, which we have two writers on this film. First one being Michael Crichton, and also his wife, Anne-Marie Martin, is credited. We'll go with Crichton first. Of course, famous novelist. He gets his start for film-wise in 1971 with an adaptation of The Andromeda Strain. The Cary Treatment in 72, Extreme Close-Up 73, Westworld in 73, which he also directs, Terminal Man in 74, Coma in 78, which he also directs, The Great Train Robbery in 78, which he also directs, Looker in 81, which he also directs, Runaway in 84. Have you ever seen Runaway, by the way?
I have not.
Tom Selleck versus Gene Simmons and his crazy murderous robots?
No. And
shit,
but
man.
I also want to mention, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, I didn't know Crichton directed.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, so he does Runaway in 84, which he also directs, Jurassic Park in 93, which he's the writer on, Rising Sun in 93, Disclosure in 94, ER in 94, Congo in 95, Twister in 96, Lost World Jurassic Park in 97, Sphere in 88, The 13th Warrior in 99, which he is uncredited as the director on.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there, but they also have Timeline in 2003, and of course the Westworld TV series in 2016 he has credit on too.
Well, sure.
So his wife, Anne-Marie Martin, is credited as a writer on Twister in 96. That is her only writing credit, but she actually had a career as an actress for a little bit. Gets her start on Wonder Woman in 1976, Streets of San Francisco in 77, Magic Mongo in 77, Dead Man's Curve in 78, Doctor's Private Lives in 78, Killer's Delight in 78, The Shape of Things to Come in 79, Buck Rogers in 80, BJ and the Bear in 80, Prom Night in 1980.
Oh.
Savage Harvest in 81, The Boogans in 81, Halloween 2 in 81, The Power of Matthew Starr in 83, TJ Hooker, The Young Ones, Saint Elsewhere, Runaway in 84,
Okay.
Days of Our Lives in 82, Highway to Heaven in 86, and also appeared on Sledgehammer in 86 as well. So she only had those
Wait,
credits.
Sledgehammer, the shot
The
on
TV
video?
No, the TV
okay.
series.
I was very excited
Not
for a
SOV.
second. I was, well, for fuck's sake, she showed up in, what was that?
Prom Night and Savage Harvest and The Boogans and Halloween 2.
So part of me was like, maybe her friend was making that on the weekend.
Could have
Jesus.
been. If I had to guess, they met on Runaway. Her and Crichton did.
It sounds likely.
Yeah. So then wrapping us up for our crew is our cinematographer, who is Jack N. Green.
Jack and Green.
Jack and Green. He gets a start as a camera op and assistant on these films, starting with 74 with Wind Placer Steel, Rooster Cogburn in 75, Every Which Way But Loose in 78, Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker in 79, Bronco Billy in 1980, Any Which Way You Can in 1980, Greatest American Hero 81, Firefox 48 Hours, Honky Tonk Man Sudden Impact, Uncommon Valor in 83, Tightrope 84, Beverly Hills Cop in 84, City Heat in 84, Starman in 84, Pale Rider, Rocky 4, Pretty in Pink, Out of Bounds, Karate Kid in 80, or Karate Kid Part 3 in 89, and he also has a credit for camera op and assistant on Click in 2006.
Oh, the Adam Sandler film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he does not become a cinematographer in DP until 1986 with Heartbreak Ridge, Like Father, Like Son in 87, The Deadpool in 88, Pink Cadillac 89, White Hunter, Black Heart in 1990, The Rookie in 91, Love Crimes in 92, Unforgiven in 92, Rookie of the Year in 93.
We were just talking about that movie.
I know. Perfect World in 93, Trapped in Paradise in 94. He shot Trapped in Paradise.
No shit.
No shit.
That's a very underrated Christmas movie.
That may come up on this year's rotation, possibly.
We'll see.
Bridges of Madison County in 95, The Net in 95, The Amazing Panda Adventure in 95, then he does Twister in 96, goes on to do Absolute Power the following year, the Clint Eastwood movie where he's the burglar that catches the president.
I love
That
Absolute
movie is
Power.
great.
The best part about that movie is that I saw it for the first time 2 or 3 years ago on like Max.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it. So the way they reveal that Hackman is the president of the United States was a shock.
Yeah.
On par with Beekeeper.
Yes.
How Beekeeper kept you not knowing until the last second, like, oh, that's the president.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Fantastic.
Absolute Power is such a good movie.
Speed 2 Cruise Control in 97.
Okay.
Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil 97. VeggieTales, Josh and the Big Wall in 1997.
All right.
True Crime in 99, Girl Interrupted 99, Space Cowboys in 2000, A Man Apart 2003, Secondhand Lions for 51st Dates, The 40-Year-Old Virgin in 2005.
He shot 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Serenity 2005, Are We Done Yet 2007, Hot Tub Time Machine 2010, Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2010, and the Left Behind remake in 2014.
I love Diary of a
you
Wimpy
love
Kid.
Wimpy Kid, yeah.
I do.
So that is Jack and Green, our cinematographer, which
Jack
moves
and Green.
us down to our IMDb synopsis, which says 2 storm chasers on the brink of divorce must work together to create an advanced weather alert system by putting themselves in the crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes.
I mean, that's pretty close to dead on. So
I'm going to try to do better.
Okay.
My synopsis says, a previous storm chaser, now weatherman, attempts to get his ex-wife to sign their divorce papers, but gets roped back into storm chasing when she reveals his prototype for an advanced weather monitoring system is ready as a batch of dangerous tornadoes unleash in the area.
Not bad, but to quote Joe Bob Briggs, you let too much plot get in the way of the story.
I'm leaving.
Good. All right. Bye. No. Oh man, I can't believe I didn't even think to do this. But wait.
Oh,
I guess this is the perfect time.
there we go. Yes,
We actually did have a storm earlier
we did,
tonight.
yes.
Today.
I
But
think there might be another one moving in shortly.
well,
I
it's
don't know.
supposed to rain our entire 4th of July.
Yes, this is true.
Yay, which means I'll be at friends' houses eating barbecue and not smoking cigars because they're like, you know what, smoke in our house. And I'm like, shut up. I have been saying since I became a cigarman that
Cigarman.
a cigarman That's how I quantify myself. I consider my love of cigars to be an element of who I am, not a hobby.
Not a hobby.
A cigarman.
It is the personality.
And I've been saying forever that like when I get really old, I'm just gonna have a cigar lit anywhere I want to go. And when somebody goes, "Oh, you can't have that," I'm like, "It's fine. It's fine."
You're Jason Robarbs at Parenthood, just tearing the non-smoking thing off the wall.
Did I ever tell you about? There was a tweet my buddy Andrew Heaton posted about how he was like, this is so ridiculous because there was a no smoking sign in the bathroom of an airplane he was on.
Yeah.
He was like, this is so ridiculous. In the good old days when you could grab a quick smoke in the bathroom, and on the sign it said, destroying this sign is a FAA violation.
Yeah.
And some random guy commented and just said, you know, based on that sign, by omission, you can legally destroy anything else on the plane you want.
Yeah.
And Heaton's response was, "You are now my attorney." I always think about that when I think of no smoking. It's
That's
like,
good.
You know, they omitted everything else. But no. So no cigars on 4th of July till I'm home.
We'll see. We'll see if you make it.
It's not like I don't go 5 days without a stogie.
You did just send our group a picture, not like I think it was like 2 weeks ago of you double fisting.
No, I had 3.
Oh, was it 3? Oh, it was 3.
I was at a tasting.
Yes.
I wasn't actually smoking
3 cigars.
And actually, I got really dizzy.
I bet. Yeah.
Not even from, it was just from keeping the 3 lit.
Mm-hmm.
No, what they did was they gave us 2 older cigars that were, they were getting rid of.
Yeah.
And you would taste them and kind of see what was up. And then they give you a 3rd one, which is a brand new blend.
Gotcha.
And then they revealed at the end of this tasting that they were all the exact same internals with different wrappers.
That's cool.
So it was like mind blowing to realize how much the wrapper affected. And then you would just smoke whichever one you wanted the rest of the way. And yeah, but I was getting like with the 3 cigars in my fingers. That was getting a little funky.
I could definitely see
Anyway,
that.
but no. So the storms, they are coming.
So moving down to our cast, we have Helen Hunt, who plays Dr. Joe Harding. 109 credits on her IMDb page, by the way.
109.
109. Starting with Pioneer Woman in 1973. She appeared also on the Swiss Family Robinson series in 75, Mary Tyler Moore Show in 77, The Spell in 77, Roller Coaster in 77, The Facts of Life, Knots Landing, The Miracle of Kathy Miller, Desperate Lives, Give Me a Break in 82, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, and Fawn's Hour in 82.
Okay.
They also Highway to Hell in 85, St. Elsewhere in 85, Peggy Sue Got Married in 86, The Frog Prince 86, Project X in 87, Stealing Home, Pulse Pounders. And then in 19... oh, go ahead.
Busted.
What?
Pulse Pounders was a compilation that had clips of her from... Because
Tracers,
Charlie Band is a fucking chotch.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But it's not like, well, what if you... But then maybe you'll never work with Charlie Band. Yeah, I like when my check's clear. Personally, but no, Pulse Pounders was a concept Full Moon was doing, and they used clips from Trancers.
That makes sense.
Just throwing that out there because I was a Full Moon nerd when I was growing up.
And I actually fucked up. I just realized this.
I know.
I got my thing messed up. So Fawn's Hour in 82, Quarterback Princess in 83, Sweet Revenge in 84, also the same year as Trancers in 84.
Yeah.
Then Girls Just Want to Have Fun in 85, Highway to Heaven in 85, St. Elsewhere, Peggy Sue Got Married, Frog Prince, Project X, Stealing Home, Pulse Pounders, Trancers City of Los Angeles in 88.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Next of Kin in 89, which that was where she was with Bill Paxton for the first time ever.
That will be an episode.
Oh, yes,
Next of
absolutely
Kin will be an episode.
China Beach in 1990, Trancers 2 91, Into the Badlands 91, Only You 92, Bob Roberts 92, Mr. Saturday Night 92, Trancers 3 92, Larry Sanders Show 94, Mad About You 94, The Muppets She Drives Me Crazy in 94.
Oh, okay.
Friends in 95, Kiss of Death in 95, then in 96 she gets Twister, As Good as It Gets the following year in 97.
Okay.
So that was 1 year later. The Simpsons in 98, Ellen in 98, Dr. T and the Woman in 2000, Pay It Forward in 2000, Castaway in 2000, and What Women Want in 2000. So she gets Twister and then goes on to do like 3 really big movies. And like I said to you off mic, I really just hope Jan de Bont was just a huge Trancers fan, and that's why he chose her.
Well, I almost guarantee he saw her Mad About You.
Yeah.
I would like to imagine he's like, I just love Trancers. Well, and it's funny because like 2 or 3 of those Trancers credits are just recycled footage from the other Trancers
yeah, because I was going to say,
movies.
she's only in 1 and 2, right?
I think she was in 3 for one scene.
Okay.
Because I remember when she got her big TV gig, she didn't quite have the attitude that she was too good for the B movies yet. So,
well, she even was in, it was only like about 5 or 8 years ago, I want to say, that I See You came out, that one that she was in.
I really like that.
That was a good one, yeah. So then we also have Bill Paxton in our lineup, who has plays Bill Harding in this, and he has 100 credits on his IMDb page. Starts in 1975 with Crazy Mama, Stripes in 81, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker in 81.
Oh, yeah, he was in that.
Yep, Mortuary in 82, Pat Benatar Shadows of the Night video in 82, Reckless in 83, Deadly Lessons in 83, Streets of Fire in 1984, Impulse in 84, The Terminator in 84.
Yeah. And I want to mention, I'm pretty sure Crazy Mama was Roger Corman.
Roger Corman, it was, yes, you are correct.
Because he worked as a carpenter for Roger Corman alongside James Cameron.
James Cameron, yeah, Jimmy Cam.
Jimmy Cam.
Jimmy Cam.
He loves when you call him that.
Oh, yeah, just like when you mentioned his first movie ever.
Oh, yeah, Piranha 2.
Piranha 2, The Spawning.
Oh, yeah.
So then he does, like I said, Terminator in 84, Weird Science in 85, Commando in 85, Aliens in 86, appears on Miami Vice in 86, Near Dark in 87, Past the Ammo in 87. This might be a movie that I have you hunt for because I can't find it.
You can't find Past the Ammo?
Do you know what it is?
No.
Heist of a corrupt preacher goes wrong in regards to, I guess they're like doing a sermon and it gets robbed, but it's Bill Paxton, Tim Curry, Annie Potts, and who is the other big name in this? I feel like there's one more. Oh, I mean, Paul Victor's in it from Freddy's Nightmares.
Hey.
But no, I've heard this movie is really good and I cannot find it. Joel Cohen wrote it.
Okay.
So Joel and Neil Cohen wrote it. And I really have been dying to see it. So we may have to find that one.
I mean, remind me after the show. I'll dig around.
Cool.
I'll see
So
if I
Past
find
the Ammo in 87, Slipstream in 89, Brain Dead in 1990. Then he also does Last of the Finest 1990, Navy SEALs, Predator 2, The Dark Backward, One False Move, The Vagrant, Trespass, future episode, 92, Boxing Helena 93, Indian Summer 93, Monolith in 93, Tales from the Crypt, People Who Live in Brass Hearses in 93.
Butter Brickle.
Butter Brickle.
Butter Pecan.
Tombstone in 93, True Lies in 94, Frank and Jesse in 94, Apollo 13 95, The Last Supper 1995.
I love him in The Last
It's a
Supper.
great
Well,
movie.
that's one of my favorite films.
That might be a
The
future
Last
episode.
Supper is an excellent film. I will say it seems like pretty much by 90,
Yeah.
he was just flying rocket to the moon. I mean,
so
he's in everything.
Twister in 96, Traveler in 97, Titanic the same year, Simple Plan in 98, Mighty Joe Young in 98, U571 2000, Vertical Limit 2000, Frailty 2001, Spy Kids 2 in 2002, and my personal favorite that I'm going to end on, Club Dread in 2004, where he plays Coconut Pete.
Yes, and you don't even have Big Love on there.
No, I do not. I'm sorry.
Which is one of his finest, but seriously, one of his finest performances
Oh, it
on the
absolutely
HBO
is.
series Big Love.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away way too young.
Way too young.
And way too soon. It was some kind of a mishap with his surgery he
It's
was
tragic.
having.
Yeah, it was very tragic.
And that's why he is only at 100 credits, because otherwise he'd be in freaking everything.
Man, he was really going those last couple years because I mean he was in like there was Two Guns. He was a
producer on Nightcrawler, and he was two different characters.
and he was in Nightcrawler. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was. I don't know why he thought or anybody thought we wouldn't recognize him, but in Nightcrawler, he's that other news gatherer.
Yeah,
but he's also a security guard that you never see their face.
Yep.
But I'm like, that's fucking Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, yeah.
I love Bill Paxton, but it's not like he would just walk into a crowd and I'd be like, oh, where'd Bill Paxton go? No, I'd spot him.
So our other credit we have listed on IMDb is Cary Elwes, who plays Dr. Jonas Miller. 137 credits on his resume.
Well, you know what they say, when you need a British asshole. I mean, I love him. He's a great actor. Yeah. But he just is so easy to hate.
Yeah.
He's so easy to hate. That was the first joke I made when we were first watching the film again. I was like, oh, they needed a jerk, so there he is.
Well,
handsome jerk.
One of my all-time favorite roles of his, or one of my favorite reveals of his, is spoilers if you haven't seen all of the Saw films. This is your spoiler alert right now, if you want to push that.
I'm not used to being put on the spot.
Spoiler alert.
So if you haven't seen the Saw films, there you go. The way that they wrapped him up in that series with bringing him back in that what was the last movie at the time and revealing how he basically helped Jigsaw, I fucking loved that twist.
That was pretty good.
That was solid.
I think my favorite performance of his is in The Crush.
Oh, The Crush is great.
I feel like he does such a good job of getting across how afraid you would be of this underage girl, both trying to screw you and then destroy you.
And her dad is Kurtwood Smith.
I love that. I was just thinking about that scene where he's like, I just imagine some kid showing up to pick her up with a hard on and he's hiding in his pants. And I just imagine how hard it'd be not to just Cut it off.
So,
That's a great scene. Oh, that's a great film.
137 credits. He gets a start in 79 with Yesterday's Hero, Oxford Blues in 84, The Bride in 85, Princess Bride in 87, Glory in 89, Days of Thunder in 1990, Hot Shots in 91, Leather Jackets in 91, Bram Stoker's Dracula in 92, The Crush in 93, Robin Hood Men in Tights in 93, The Chase in 94, The Jungle Book remake in 94, then does Twister in 96, Seinfeld in 96, Liar Liar in 1997, Kiss the Girls in 97, The Pentagon Wars in 98, Pinky and the Brain in 98, Quest for Camelot, The Outer Limits, Shadow of the Vampire in 2000.
Oh, yeah.
I love Shadow of the Vampire.
Of course you do.
Dude, don't even. We may even do that to support Nosferatu remake coming out.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, anything to piss off Florence Stoker, I'm in.
That's fair. Fuck Florence Stoker. Night Vision 2001, The X-Files 2001, The Cat Returns 2002, and then Saw in 2004. Elwes, he is just really tearing it up right now with Hallmark and Christmas movies, especially like Castle for Christmas and whatnot, or those Netflix ones. I can't remember.
He's been doing a lot of indies too.
Yeah. But no, he is awesome. Other members of the cast that I do want to mention real quick, we have, of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays Dusty in this, Jami Gertz, Lois Smith, Alan Ruck, Sean Whalen, Todd Field. We've also got
and nearly every character actor of the 90s is in this
of the
film.
90s, yeah. So also Jeremy Davies, of course, from Justified and Helter Skelter fame.
And it's worth mentioning, this film is an Amblin production. It's produced by Steven Spielberg.
Yep.
So it has that kind of clout and gloss to it of those Amblin movies.
And as of this recording, it is available to stream. You can find it on a couple apps. So if you search on your Roku or streaming device, wherever you have, you will be able to find Twister and watch it. But also, if you don't own Twister, that's your problem right now, too.
Oh, well, way to spoil what you're going to say at the end.
I mean, I haven't said that yet. I just said, just saying, if you don't have access to Twister, that's your own fault.
Okay.
Who doesn't have access to Twister? This movie's fantastic.
People in Africa with no electricity.
All right, well, that's fair. Well, now I feel bad.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, that's fair. You ready to get into the movie?
Sure.
All right. So we open with, excuse me. Oh, wait. Oh, well, let me back up. No. What was your first time watching Twister, Henrique?
Oh, gosh. We rented it on tape from Blockbuster from probably Blockbuster or one of the nearby video stores. If it came out in 96, we probably rented it at Blockbuster. The commercial was always on TV when it came into theaters and it came onto home video. And everybody was always, even if you hadn't seen the movie, would quote the cow joke.
Yeah.
We got
cows.
Another cow, same one.
Yep.
And that's what I remember the most is like, ha ha ha. So I had to rent it and watch it. I remember being deeply, deeply scared because I grew up in Ohio. And we have tornadoes.
We do.
And several times in my childhood, I've never lived in a house with a basement.
Okay.
So several times in my childhood, we would get in the bathtub and wait it out. So I was already very afraid of severe thunderstorms when I was very young anyway. So when the movie came out on VHS, I was like 11 years old. So I was still pretty afraid. I was so afraid of bad storm. Like if we had a tornado warning, then for like 5 or 6 weeks afterward, I would religiously watch the Weather Channel. And if like rain happened, my Aunt Betty would come and sit with me because I would get so scared when I was a little kid. Because we got tornado. I mean, we've gotten tornadoes as recently as 2019. We had a severe, devastating tornado here in Dayton.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was when I first saw it, and then I've seen it on cable, literally as recently as 3 weeks ago. So it is really, it's always somewhere.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
So my first time watching it, Mom had rented this from Kroger's video store. Because our Kroger had the video store still at this point.
Wow, yeah, I don't know exactly when my Kroger got rid of theirs, but it couldn't have been much later than 96.
So we get it from the video store, and I'm 4 years old at this point, so my recollection of this isn't super strong, but I remember Mom sits us down to watch it. Me and Erica and Mom are watching it, and it's the opening, and we see the dad get taken, and then all of a sudden, like Erica and I think both started crying, like because that was just very intense. Because Erica would have been 7 and I was 4 at the time, and so Mom stops it. Mom stops the tape, I don't know if days passed or we rented it again, but this movie just became a regular staple around our house on cable, on the VHS tape, on the DVD we eventually got. I've probably seen Twister close to 25 or 30 times.
That sounds low, actually.
That sounds low.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be more than that, but I've seen this movie a lot. I love this movie. I probably average 2 watches of this movie each year, honestly.
Then 30's low.
Probably.
All right.
I mean,
that's fair enough.
It's hard to tell because anytime it's on TV, I will sit down and watch it. Like, even if I'm at my parents' house not intending to stay, if they have Twister on, I will sit down and watch it. Because how do you not?
I mean, I've definitely been pulled into Twister a few times, but that's how I am with like Back to the Future. If Back to the Future's on TV,
yeah,
no matter where it is in the film, I'm gonna sit down and watch it. It's just how Back to the Future is, how Raiders of the Lost Ark is.
Twister, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and probably the other one would be, honestly, Halloween or Halloween 2. Those are my drop the remote movies if they're on TV.
Halloween 2.
I love Halloween 2, and you know this.
Well, to me, what makes a movie a drop the remote is that it is on all the time as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I go with like Back to the Future or Raiders of the Lost Ark. Because those were on TV a lot, and those were ones where literally I would be flipping.
Yeah.
And then go, hey, 20 minutes into Back to the Future. And then it was over, and I'm like, oh, where did my afternoon go?
I will say on that note that, like, anytime we had a family gathering for like a solid like 10 years, Happy Gilmore was always on TV whenever we had like a gathering with Dad's side of the family.
That's bizarre.
It was weird.
Fair enough.
It was always just because it was a joke for a while, because like we'd be like, okay, well, let's flip on and see how and we would always find it. Like,
I wish I was old enough to remember when Beastmaster was on like every day.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Well, that was a running joke.
On HBO,
HBO was called Hey Beastmaster's on. No, but TBS was called the Beastmaster station.
Yeah.
Because it was just playing ad nauseum.
See, and I feel like TBS back in my day had Jaws on all the time.
I don't know.
I feel like Jaws was a large
TBS
player.
was pretty big into comedy by that point.
Yeah, well, Dinner and a Movie.
And TNT was the place where you would go for drama.
And TNT had Jaws and Cary. Those two I remember distinctly being on a lot too.
But I don't know. Yeah.
So getting into the film, we open with a shot of a storm moving into what is a nice town, and we see that it's June 1969.
Nice.
So we cut to a farmhouse, and we see a dad downstairs drinking coffee, watching the weather, and we see a little girl in a bed played by a very young Alexa Vega, and suddenly her mom comes in saying that there's a storm coming and they've got to get down to the cellar. So they all make their way downstairs and go outside, and that's when all hell is breaking loose by this house. There's lightning, the wind's picking up. I mean, it's intense.
Yeah, and I remember because when we were watching it just now, I was mad because the Blu-ray automatically played in stereo.
Yeah.
And as the tornado was going, I was like, why is my surround sound not on? So I had to go and flip through the menus to get that. And then once the surround sound was on, I was like, holy shit.
So we see the animals running. We see the family running towards the storm cellar. They get inside, they light the lantern, and they lock the door. And that's when we see and hear the Twister just sweeping over. So Joe is with her mom at this point, and her dad goes up because he sees the lock on the door is starting to shake loose. So he's going to hold on to the storm door. Stupid decision.
Well, I mean, it's not a stupid decision if you love your family.
I mean, I feel like if the door would have got blown off, they still would have been
Dave
somewhat
would let his
protected.
family die.
I never said that.
That is, well, it's what you imply.
I'm not implying that.
Okay. We'll see when that tornado comes I ordered.
Oh my God, don't even joke. We've had a lot of heavy rain this summer.
Well, I mean, that's not a tornado, though.
No, but I've been in my basement twice already this summer, and I don't want to go back.
Yeah, you're a little bit scared. A little bit.
No, it's not even that. I'm fucking terrified because my mom did that to me at a young age, and I love watching storms. Like, I will be on my porch.
She like would go, it's a tornado.
Mom, I love you. If you're listening to this, I do not mean to throw shade, but my father actually had to like step in one time because like he was getting mad at how like afraid I was being because she wasn't thinking about how she presented what was going on to a young child.
What, she just panicked like crazy?
Kinda, yeah.
What you mean is you got your panic toward weather from your mother.
Well, and then my mom, God love her, one time we were just sitting, in the living room because my parents have a big facing window towards this hill where we had a lot of storms roll through, and she just sat there with me for like, I think it was about an hour, and just showed me that storms weren't scary. So my fear has dropped a bit, but in the last 5 years between me covering tornado damage or actually it's longer than that, probably 8 years, me covering tornado damage for the radio station, TV station back in the day. And just in general, like you were saying, the one tornado we had recently, we had one at Indian Lake recently.
Well, you didn't have it. Dayton did.
Dayton did. But I'm saying it was close enough to home.
No, I'm just
because I remember for that period driving on 75 and going past that side where they had to rebuild the whole facility that got hit and that whole side right by Dixie. It was really sad to drive past there for a while.
Well, yeah, tornadoes rip shit up, man.
Yes, they do. Which this movie shows.
Yeah, no shit.
But no, I mean, I just think that if he would have let go of the door, things might have been okay. But he doesn't. He holds onto the door, and Jo then watches as her father is sucked into the tornado and taken away from her. As the tornado passes over, her mom's holding on to her. And one thing I did mention to you this time that I just caught on this viewing, she does have a dog that's exactly like Toto from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, she has what's called a Karen Terrier.
Karen Terrier.
Because I had a Karen Terrier when I was a little boy named Toto.
Of course you did.
Hey, listen, when you get a dog when you're 5 or 4 and you get to name it,
yeah,
it's going to be
Toto.
Toto.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it was literally the breed of dog that Toto was.
So now it's present day. We see a satellite and we meet the people behind the National Severe Storm Laboratory, the NSSL, and they are talking about how there's a bunch of breaks in the weather system right now and that if these storms pick up in a certain way, it's going to be a massive outbreak of storms. And one chick goes, this is going to be a long day. As we cut to a long stretch of road and we meet Bill and Melissa, Bill Paxton and Melissa, who's played by Jami Gertz, they're newly engaged and heading out to Jo's site with the rest of her crew because they want to get Bill's divorce papers from her.
Well, they got to get them signed.
Got to get them signed so they can get married. So they are driving onto the site, and we meet Dusty, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is very, very excited to see Bill. And Bill is like, Dusty's like, are you back? The man, the extreme's back, which we'll explain the extreme as we get later into the podcast. But that's what everybody calls him. And everybody's super excited to see Bill Paxton's character. They're welcoming him back. And that's when Bill decides to drop off Melissa with Dusty while he goes to talk to Jo, who is working on their Doppler satellite. And he goes up to her and he's like, hey, Jo, how's it going? She stands up and is kind of surprised to see him, but they immediately just have that thing. It's kind of cool the way that she kind of they both just have that connection, even if they're not into each other.
Well, they have a moment.
They have a moment.
Well, they've been married for however long.
X amount of years, yeah. But no, so Jo is basically fixing the Doppler, and that's when he asks her about the divorce papers, and she's like, well, I haven't looked over them and signed them yet. And so she goes to her truck and gets them, and that's when they have this exchange that she missed a part of the document to sign, so she takes a second and reads it. And he's like, you've had these papers since December. Why are they not signed?
Yeah, well, he's like, it hasn't changed since I gave it to you.
Yeah. And she's like, I didn't read them back then. So that's when Jo also realizes that Bill brought Melissa with him. And she's with Dusty, and she's like, you left her with Dusty? Are you crazy? So she goes over to meet Melissa, and that's when Melissa gets a call revealing that Melissa is also a therapist. So Melissa's a therapist, and Bill and Jo are now hanging out together, and that's when Jo also tells Bill that the prototype for the weather system that he had developed previously called Dorothy, they've made it, and it's ready.
Yeah, and it's basically a data gathering system that would allow little sensors to go inside of a tornado and learn as much as possible about how the winds blow, how the tornado is assembled, what the pressure is like when it reduces, when it gets stronger, et cetera, et cetera. It would be one of the biggest meteorological breakthroughs of their time.
Yeah.
So it's a very big deal.
Very big deal. And you pointed out that they're the circles instead of the squares.
Yeah, they're circular instead of square. But the funniest part about, or not funniest part, but the saddest part or the cutest part or whatever you want to call it of it is when Paxton sees that has become a reality, you see him become desperate to be involved again.
Yeah, because he's a weatherman now, so he's kind of given up.
Weatherman. Like I'm a cigarman.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's kind of he's given up storm chasing, and even Melissa really didn't have any idea what he did before, because that's a line we'll get to later. But Bill has been out of the game for a while. He's a weatherman, and everybody knows it. So him seeing this, you can kind of see that light kind of come back to where he's just like, oh shit, like this could be big.
Sure, definitely.
And that is exactly what Jo was intending to, because that's why she reveals it to him, is because this is one of the days that they are predicting a lot of tornadoes to hit, and that's when suddenly Haynes, one of Jo's team, gets a call that they have an early forming of a twister, and it is go time. So we see everybody spring into action. We watch the crew break down their base camp. Melissa and Bill go to leave, but Bill realizes that he forgot the divorce papers.
Whoopsie.
So now he's back in the saddle as him and Melissa get into his truck, and they are following Jo and her crew out to the site, and that is when Bill Bill also catches sight alongside of them as they are driving past his old nemesis, Jonas, who is played by Cary Elwes.
Of course, well, because Cary Elwes is everyone's old nemesis.
Yes.
If I saw him, I would immediately hate him for no reason. I'd just be like, that son of a bitch. He'd be like, what do you know about Cary Elwes? And I'd be like, actually nothing. He just... movies trained me to be his enemy.
But he has a southern accent in this one, so maybe he'll be nicer.
Which I think sincerely they were like, look, we can't have everybody hate the Brits every time. So we're gonna have you not be British this one time. And he was like, oh, okay.
So he comments that Jonas used to be one of his partners back in the day at their schooling, but Jonas got he got win at one time and he got like sponsorship and whatnot, so he kind of let the money go to his head, and now he has an entire elite team with him too.
Well, and his team is like organized. They have consistent vehicles, consistent equipment. Joe's team, whatever. Yeah. They are ragtag.
Yeah.
I mean, like the definition of ragtag. I mean, one of there is a short school bus.
Yep. Dusty has the short school bus that's always playing music videos outside of the school bus too, because he's got like 2 speakers mounted on the front.
Yeah, he blares music out of the vehicle, which just seems not constructive.
You've got Alan Ruck and his guy. They're the map people, which one of the things that really dates this movie is having the map truck instead of the GPS truck.
Oh yeah, they have maps all over, so they can plot things out.
And I mean, like Henrique mentioned earlier, it's just a grouping of character actors, like some of the best of the 90s.
Yeah, and they're all oddballs in their own way.
So they are riding next to Jonas, and that's when Bill realizes that he's lost his train of thought, and he's also kind of gone off the road because there's a car trying to pass him. So he runs over some pipes in the grass, takes out his truck tire, so he has to pull off and get that fixed. So down the road, they've all stopped. He's changing the tire, and that's when Jonas now has an entourage around him of reporters and everything. And he reveals that he also has a system much like Dorothy, and this pisses Bill off.
Yeah, and his argument when he says you ripped us off is he's like, it was a concept.
It was a concept.
That I executed on my own.
Yeah.
When yours was just a concept.
Yeah.
Which is an argument to be made.
Unrealized idea is what he said.
Oh, yeah, unrealized idea. That was the term he uses.
Because Bill confronts him. He goes up and punches him, and they try to pull him.
He doesn't punch him.
Well, he
grabs him and pushes him.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, well, like, because I remember, because when I was watching it, I thought he was going to give him a haymaker.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, boy, that's pretty extreme. And then he didn't. He just, like, shoves him around and stuff. I joked that it was like a school bully. Like, he's just grabbing, he was like, friggin' nerd!
So he grabs Jonas, and Jonas, of course, denies it, calls it an unrealized idea, and that's when Joe pulls him aside, and she's like, I'm sorry for not telling you. And Bill says, I'll give you one day. One day, whether Dorothy flies or not, I'm out of here. So he's joining them. The gang is back together for one day to see if they can get Dorothy to fly.
Yes, and of course, who is not involved in this decision? His
Melissa,
soon-to-be wife.
Yes.
Hopefully to her and maybe to him. And now all of a sudden they're all hanging out at this diner. But now Bill starts to notice his instinctual thing. Because he mentions at one point, Cary Elwes, the big difference is Cary doesn't have instinct. He has money and no instinct.
Yeah.
So Bill's outside looking at the sky, feeling the wind, picks up the dirt and drops it to see how the wind's blowing.
Yep.
And he figures out where it's going to be.
Yeah.
They all get in their cars, and of course, he's in the car with Joe.
Yep.
And his woman friend is stuck by herself in their pickup truck, and they start booking it to go catch that next tornado.
So that's when also Melissa realizes back at the diner one thing. She's talking with Joe, and she's just talking about how Bill is just like a force of nature. He's got his instinct, and she realizes that she still loves him. And she's like, I don't have a problem with it. I just hope it doesn't turn into anything else. So outside, Bill notices the sky going green. The troops head back out to the storm as it begins to form, and Joe and Bill are together as they're driving the truck. Joe tries to question Bill about Melissa, basically, and Bill is not giving any input. He's like, no, we're not talking about that. Like,
well, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
And so she ends up finding out that she's a therapist, and that's about it. And
reproductive therapist.
Yeah. So but now, I mean, they're within a very short amount of time. They are finding the tornado.
Yeah.
It is looking rough. And of course, the truck that Joe and Bill are in has the data thingy, Dorothy.
Yeah.
And they have to get damn close to eject those sensor balls into the tornado.
One of my favorite things is they're fighting on the radio because the radio is going out to all of Joe's gang, so they're hearing them fight. And he's like, "Hey, are you guys?" Belcher's like, "Are you guys done?" And they're like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know if you guys want to chase some tornadoes because they've spotted the tornado already."
I don't know if you guys want to chase some tornadoes or whatever.
Yeah, so they go to intercept it, and that's when Jonas is also on the trail, and he notices the tire marks as he's following them. And the guy's like, "Hey, they turned left," and he's like, "Do it." So now Jonas is completely ripping off their trail as well.
Well, and they mentioned that that's what he does.
Yep, that's what he does.
He does whatever they do.
So we see his guys turn, and we see the tornado is now on the ground as Joe advises Bill to try and get ahead of it. So he crosses into a field, getting stuck in an empty creek bank, and that's when they have to abandon ship because this tornado is coming right in on them. So they try to park it as close to this bridge as they can get.
The overpass, I think.
Overpass. Yeah. And so they go under to take shelter. The tornado comes through, starts ripping boards off of the overpass, and that's when we also see the truck get slowly pulled back. We start to see it get pulled back because Joe's racing out. She wants to see it, and Bill's like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, get back here.
This is the beginning of us realizing Joe's got kind of a death wish going.
Yes, she does. So she's like, I want to see it. So he pulls her back. So they're watching as the tornado goes through, and tornado passes. Joe goes, "Where's my truck?" And as Melissa's driving down the road, Joe's truck just plummets and drops on its back right in front of her.
Just barely misses it.
Misses it.
Which the character Philip Seymour Hoffman plays is very
Dusty,
amused by. He's like, "Wow, did you see that? Like, she just missed it. She just missed it." So now they're trying to gather up Dorothy.
Yeah.
But the truck is just kaput. And there's a great adult joke where Joe's like, "Is that truck insured?" And he's like, only liability.
Yeah.
So, which for the uninitiated, when you have liability only insurance, it means that you only cover damage you do to other people's property, but not insured your actual personal vehicle, which is hilarious because he's like, "Oh, no," and boom, Dorothy's on the back of his truck, and now that's the truck that's leading the pack.
And this is also the follow-up to Melissa freaking out because, I mean, of course, she had the car drop in front of her.
She almost died.
She almost died, and, Bill is like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No, I'm not okay." She's like, when I heard you chase tornadoes, I thought it was just a metaphor.
Yeah, that was such a great line. I thought it was a metaphor.
So the crew is all back together now on the road, and they are now in Bill's truck as they are driving, the three of them, and we see another tornado on the ground, and Jonas's team are moving in as suddenly Joe and Bill drive right past them, and Bill is taking notices of the clouds. He notices that it's an updraft, and he calls that it's going to shift, and Joe is like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sure." And it's a sidewinder. It totally shifts. So they go off. The crew back up and hit a side road, and they're following it. And, of course, Jonas watches as the tornado switches its heading. He gets pissed because he looks out his binoculars, and he sees they're on the other side of the road right in its path.
Yeah. They're just better at this.
No, they really are.
Because they're a ragtag group.
So the cars start to take on some rain as they start to see what they think is an F2 or an F3, and that's when Rabbit calls it an F3 and tells them they can intercept it now as it's not going to hang on long. So they move down the road, and Joe tells Bill that they're in the core and they have to watch out as we see the tornado. We have one on one side of a river and one on the other side. The one on the other side splits into two. So now there's three tornadoes, but one, as they call a sister, which is on the left side of the road.
Right.
So they are then whisked around the road a couple times by these tornadoes. They blow past, and then that is it for that, and they get out of the truck and they're celebrating once again. And that's when they decide that they are close to Watika because Joe is attending to her truck or to Bill's truck, and Dusty comes over. He's like, "I couldn't help we're close to Wakita. Is there any chance we could drop by Meg's?" She's like, "No, we're not invading my aunt." And he's like, "Well, we need food." So then the crew is all like, "Food."
It's a cute moment. So they go to her aunt's house.
Smash cut because she goes, "We are absolutely not going." Smash cut to Wakita.
Yeah, and they're there, and she's feeding them, home cooked meals,
yes,
and letting them grab
steak.
showers, and they're just hanging out, having a good time. And this is a really great moment where everybody kind of shares their feelings a little bit, gets to know each other. The aunt has that great moment with Joe where she talks to her about I'm so sorry he didn't just stay alone in misery forever. And she's like, "I know. Is it so much to ask?" It's a great moment.
Yeah.
And but so everybody's talking there. Then they realize we gotta get ready for whatever's gonna come next.
But we also find out why Bill is called the Extreme, which is my favorite moment.
Oh yeah, please.
Because Melissa is asking, why do you guys keep calling Bill the Extreme? And Dusty's like, because he is the Extreme. And that's when they tell this story, apparently, where Joe was setting up a spot to get some information on this tornado right in its path. And apparently Bill pulls up in a car, half drunk or drunk, and also naked or half naked.
Yeah. Their differences based on who tells the story.
Steps out of the car with a whiskey bottle, says, have a drink, and chucks it in the tornado, and they quote that the bottle never hits the ground.
The tornado took it.
And that's when Bill says, honey, there was the basic story is that there was a Bill and an evil Bill, and I killed him.
Yeah, there was an evil Bill, and I killed him.
They also notice that Jonas is on TV, and he's, slinging some shit that they're not having, so they are boo. But yeah, this is about the time that they realize they have, we also missed the big one. They talk about the Fujita scale, which is the F2.
That F5 is the most powerful tornado known to man.
Yeah, and Melissa's like, has anybody ever seen an F5? And Preacher, which is one of the Joe's crew, he's like, the finger of God. And Bill goes, one of us has. And that's when they basically hint that that's what killed Joe's father.
Yeah, and that's what we saw at the beginning of the film, that
Yeah.
insane tornado. That was an F5.
So they get another call that there are more tornadoes coming, so they have an F3 coming, and Dusty calls for the gang to get back on. Melissa then rides with Dusty this time as Joe and Bill get back into her truck, and we see them driving out again, and they're jamming out. All of them are singing, all of them are playing their songs
they're all
on their car.
happy because their tum-tums are full.
Yep, and that is when Rabbit's advice, they decide to take a shortcut through a cornfield where they're going to hit the highway. They're going through this cornfield, they're not seeing anything, and suddenly they come out and almost hit Jonas's crew.
Yeah, the highway comes up real friggin' quick,
Yeah.
and they almost smash into him.
And Jonas is like, what the hell are you doing, Joe? And Joe is like, oh, I didn't know you cared, because the one thing we forgot to mention is when the truck comes down in front of Melissa and Joe's truck's totaled, Jonas and his crew drive by and they don't stop.
Yeah, they don't help him at all, which
No.
which is just not surprising because they're the de facto villains other than the tornado,
Yeah.
basically.
So Bill is making a call from looking at the sky that Joe needs to turn left, and that's when they get to notice that a tornado is on the ground and on the road that they are on, but they can't get a visual. They're like, Rabbit, where's this visual at? We don't have anything. He's like, no, it's on 36. We're 35 miles per hour. Right as you guys get over this hill, you're probably going to see it. Suddenly, they see it, and they decide to try and put Dorothy into action. So Bill gets out in the back as they are driving down this road. Hail is going, wind's blowing, and he's trying to get Dorothy up and running. Which is insane.
From the back of the truck, while she's going fast, Joe's going faster and faster and faster and faster, and everybody's just trying to stay on the road. That hail is so bad, and the tornado just looks mean as hell.
That is one thing about the tornadoes in this movie is when it says depictions of very bad weather, these are freaking scary storms.
Yes.
All of them. So Dorothy is now prepped, and the gang hangs back, letting them know that they're going to go to work to try to film it as best they can. So Bill and Joe get back on the road, and they stop while the tornado rages havoc ahead of them, but it starts moving and taking out power lines, which end up falling onto the truck, knocking Dorothy out of the truck and spilling all the sensors all over the road.
Yeah, and at that point, it becomes clear they're not going to be able to do it this time.
No.
And also, I love the moment that they fail to deploy Dorothy multiple times. The moment they fail to, they're like, oh shit, yeah, now let's not die.
Yeah. Well, and also as Dorothy is completely fucked now, the storm just suddenly vanishes. Like it goes quiet. And Preacher's like, oh man, it's the cone of silence. And they lose it on the radar. They don't have any track of it. And that's when they comment that the storm is back building. And sure enough, storm's back, way fierce again. And Joe doesn't want to give up. So Bill is trying to drag her, pull her away from the truck. They get in the truck and they're backing up. And she actually gets out to start picking up the sensors. And that's when, he has to tell her, what is this about? What are you trying to do? And she's like, well, you've never seen a tornado miss that house and go right for your house. And that's when he realizes she still has a lot of holdback about the death of her father.
Yeah, I don't know why he would think that just because he met a woman who dedicated her life to chasing tornadoes and her father was killed by a tornado.
Yeah.
Why would you think there's any trauma there? Why would you think there's anything odd going on there? Jeez.
It's crazy.
Jeepers creepers.
So
what
that's
a
when
silly Billy.
So silly Billy actually comments, you have to live, you have to see what's in front of you right now. You can't keep living in the past. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I'm here. Not knowing that all of this is going out to the radio and all of the crew are hearing it.
Well, and for the record, upon this viewing, while he does say, I'm here, he doesn't say, I want to stay married to you.
Yeah.
But he is literally there for her.
Yeah, and he's comforting her. This is a really sweet scene.
Yeah, because at first you think it's that big moment, like I'm still in love with you. But then in the next scene, he's with his lady friend. Yeah. It's more that he bared his soul about it, and you really start to understand why their marriage wasn't working.
Yeah,
she's a horrible communicator. She just cannot. And you want to go even further. Think about that. Think about where did he go for love after a woman who would never talk about her feelings? To a therapist. Who always talks about feelings.
Yeah.
And so And you feel for her because, she's heard all this. So now she's like, I think he has feelings for her too. But it's not like their relationship is particularly healthy or even productive.
Yeah.
The fact that she's willing to die while someone it's purported that she loves and respects and admires is standing there going, don't die for me.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't care.
Yeah.
It's a brutal moment, but
really
it's a wonderful moment. But we're heading into an even more wonderful moment because the next scene, I believe, is when we go to the drive-in movie theater.
Yes.
As they arrive at a drive-in movie theater, which is showing The Shining on a double feature.
On a double feature with Psycho.
With Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
A night of horrors, as the marquee said.
A night of horrors.
And by this point, like I said, Melissa has now heard, him talking to Joe. So she's a little sus with this, which I do want to point out. I love Melissa's character in this movie.
She's really good and she's super likable. And the funny thing is, I remember as a kid not liking her.
Same.
Because I was so on board with the Joe and Bill train. Yes. Because then they did like the little movie things too.
Yeah.
Like they had, like Bill has dark hair and Joe has blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing in a lot of films is like people want people with different colored hair to like each other. I know it's weird, but like if you don't believe me, motherfuckers, watch a Lifetime movie. Watch like a Christmas romance movie. Watch a rom-com. Right. Not always, but often somebody's got to be blonde and somebody's got to be brunette.
Yeah.
And usually the person that they should leave is the same hair color as them. It's not always the case, but I think it's mostly for diversity and for the eyes.
Yeah.
So, there's that moment where it's like subconsciously you're like, no, he can't be with the other brunette. He needs to be with Helen Hunt. We love Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
And so I feel bad for her, but you know what? No matter how bad I feel for that character, the fact that she said, when you said you used to chase tornadoes, I thought it was a metaphor is one of the greatest lines in the whole film.
Well, and she's a great addition too, like I told you too, because it's like, this is a way for you to explain the weather patterns and all the information and stuff of the movie to a character that would not know, but also to your audience.
One of the most common elements is to have a fish out of water.
Yeah.
So that the audience can have it explained to them.
Yeah.
It's like having Spock on Star Trek or having Data on Star Trek The Next Generation. Having an outsider allows you to explain and expand on the human experience because you're talking to somebody who has zero. It's very similar to like a lot of times, if this is something you could really check out, watch a movie about military people. Mm-hmm. They'll usually be like a woman character, like a girlfriend or whatever, who just is not a part of everything, but has been dragged into it because it's like, well, I love my husband. I have to be whatever. And then she's the one who goes like, so what is a UAV?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a drone aircraft, blah, blah, blah. Because no soldier would ask those questions.
Yeah.
So you need a non-soldier to get
across.
that stuff across for the audience, because the audience is not going to understand all the military jargon.
Yeah.
Very similar concept.
Yeah. So later that evening, the gang is at a drive-in showing The Shining. They're taking a breather. They're gathering information. And we see Melissa is in a motel room as the TV reports more tornadoes on the rise. Joe's getting a coffee for the team, and she also steals a pen from the concession stand and starts to sign the divorce papers.
Yeah, yep.
So,
and that's the other reason I didn't think that scene was about them rekindling.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like after everything that happened, she's like, okay, I owe to leave.
Yeah.
I owe it to him to let him leave. Which is very sad, but also very mature.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So Bill comes up and he comments on how he thinks Dorothy's sensors might be too light, or maybe the whole rig itself is too light. Both Melissa and Bill, though, are watching TV as this happens, and they start to notice that the TV's getting static as the wind picks up. And outside, the wind is picking up and some thunder's coming in too. And Dusty comes out screaming that it's coming, it's heading right for them. As Bill states, it's already here.
And this is an awesome sequence, too, because as the lightning strikes, you start to see that there's a cyclone beginning, often very close in the distance.
Because the one thing, too, with this drive-in scene is we actually do get to see clips of The Shining. Specifically, it opens with Danny coming down the hallway as the two twins pop up with a, hello, Danny.
Yeah. So you start to understand how much time has passed if you're familiar with The Shining.
Yes.
And the tornado shows up right as Here's Johnny is going
happens.
down.
So we see a giant tornado moving in behind them. It starts to take out the screen as Bill and the rest of the gang try to get to safety as best as they can, and they start running towards a garage. And in the garage, we watch as the roof is just ripped off. Debris starts to fly all around. We see flying hubcap comes through that actually cuts Preacher's forehead. A car is sent through the garage. The marquee of the drive-in is sent through the garage.
Yeah, they're literally in the hole in the
mechanic bed.
Yeah, where mechanics go down underneath cars.
Yeah.
That's all they have to protect themselves. So there's nothing on top to protect them. So they're covering their faces from the glass and the shards and everything. And I have to say, that is one of the scariest sequences of the whole film.
Entirely.
And the moment it ended, I remember I turned to you and I went, who the hell would want to keep chasing tornadoes after that happened that night?
Back at it.
Well, but unfortunately, as they get out of there, they realize that this adorable little town is decimated.
Yes.
There are fires everywhere, homes destroyed, families standing in the street not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And worse yet, her aunt was not immune to this disaster.
Yes.
As we initially see her she has all these lawn decorations, which I think she made.
Yeah, wind chimes and stuff, like little things.
And they're spinning like crazy.
Yeah.
So now her house has been really messed up.
Yeah.
And they go to check on her. They find her. She's fallen through to the basement of her house.
Basement.
So she wasn't in her basement.
Well, the house is fucking split.
Yeah. The house is split and it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But she was not in the basement. She fell to the basement.
Yeah.
And her dog is down there barking. They've got to get her out. As they're trying to get her out, Flotsam and Jetsam is trying to fall on her. A TV set almost crushes her. They get her out, and thank goodness she's a little hurt, but not severely. Her wrist is broken. She has a few cuts and scrapes and bruises.
On her head, yep.
And as they get her into an ambulance, they find out that they're reporting off in the distance. They're predicting an F5.
That they are.
About 35 miles south or north.
35 miles south.
And at that moment, though, I nearly lost it because she said, like, go, you have to help these people. And I was like, does she think that her niece stops tornadoes?
Hey, you. Hey, get back up there.
Hey, stop that. You stop that. But I know she's referring to that they're like trying to better predict tornadoes and stuff like that. But it was just funny the way she says, like, go so this doesn't happen again. It's like, well, she's not gonna
just fly and
she's
stop
not
the tornado.
Gonna she's not gonna build a wall to stop the tornado or whatever.
And that's when you also get a sense of how much guilt that Joe has for this at this point.
Yeah, no, she feels just terrible about that. And she does in a way blame herself for where the tornadoes go, which is insane, but also grief is insane.
She apologizes for not being there. She apologizes for not being there soon enough. And Aunt Meg is just like, you couldn't do anything. Yeah, you pulled me out. The house collapses as they pull her out.
Yeah,
too.
She was like, I heard the sirens and it was already happening.
Here, yeah.
Yeah. So they leave her in the ambulance to be taken care of, and they get back on the goddamn road.
One interjection. So at the end of the drive-in sequence, Melissa comes up to Bill because she's like, hey, I'm going back. And Bill's like, go wait at the motel. Like, it's safe. I'll be there in the morning. She's like, I'm not going to be there. And that's when she basically says, I'm not mad. Like, I can see that you still love her, and, we would have never worked out anyway. I'm not mad. Like, and I don't know how to feel about that, but it's okay.
I love the line where he's like, she's like, don't worry, I know the way home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I really like that moment.
Yeah.
No, and it is a great moment. A sad moment, but a great moment.
Well, and especially when he's like, I never wanted any of this to happen. She's like, oh, Billy, I know that. Like that's again, like with this character, the way that they take her out of the movie. I mean, given they didn't take her out.
Yeah, honestly, rewatching it after having not seen it for a while, part of me was like, does she die?
I've got some trivia at the end that I'm curious if because there's something that I'm really curious about with this movie in regards to how it was originally conceived.
Well, before we get to that, we got to get to the F5, Mother Hubbard.
To the F5, yes.
So let's go. Hold on.
So they reported that an F4 is what hit Wakita, but the upcoming might be and probably is an F5. So Joe joins Meg in the ambulance, who tells her, you broken wrist, bump on the head. We've already settled that. So that's when, the ambulance takes off, and Joe is looking at these wind chimes that are in Meg's yard, and that's when she realizes, I know how I can make Dorothy fly.
Which is... And I love this movie.
Yes.
The weakest story point.
It is.
So they come up with this idea to cut Pepsi cans. Pepsi.
The
choice of a new generation. Very clearly product placement.
Yes. Even though Jonas is a hack for selling out.
Yeah, I that's pretty funny. I always wanted to imagine they're all eating Doritos next scene. But so they're cutting up Pepsi cans, and for some reason, in all of the time that they've all been scientists, none of them once thought of the concept of wind resistance and aerodynamics.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're cutting up Pepsi cans and making these little spiral wind things to catch the wind. And one touch, though, that I really loved as they were doing it, because they're like driving in cars doing it, is I was like, that's not safe. And then I noticed their fingers
all their hands are bloody.
Bloody with Band-Aids all over.
They've got Band-Aids, they've got blood,
Which, if you've ever cut up a soda can, they're very, very sharp. So, but I also love the idea, they're like, okay, new plan. We throw shrapnel into the tornado.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, I remember going, why didn't they think about wind when they designed it?
Yeah.
But it is a big story point. So now they're fully rejuvenated. They know that Dorothy is going to work.
Yep.
But they've got to get to this F5.
They've got 2 Dorothys this time too. They have 2 chances at this altogether. So they've got their Dorothy. Both their Dorothys are loaded into Bill's truck, and that's when they notice that in front of them something is in the tornado. So they've driven to a tornado. They've dropped off one Dorothy, but they're like, something's in the tornado.
And before this, when something has been in a tornado, it's like a tree branch.
Yeah.
It's or a tree.
Or a tree, yeah.
It's flotsam and jetsam.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing semi-trucks.
Yes.
And whole fucking houses.
Yes. Because as we see, a oil or a gas tanker is what is in the tornado. And
yes.
It is not only pushed out of the tornado in front of them, which bumps them off this log that they get stuck. Because the one thing I forgot to mention is right as they lay down Dorothy, this thing starts throwing tree limbs at them, which one of them wedges Dorothy out and then also gets under their truck.
Yeah, they're stuck.
So the tanker actually knocks them loose, so they start driving. Well, then the tornado picks the tanker back up and drops it right in front of them.
And it explodes into a giant ball of fire.
And
one of my favorite parts is when they contact them on the radio and go, did you guys see that?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they missed it.
Because they have to drive through it, obviously.
Yeah. No, they missed the giant fireball.
Yeah. So they drive through it, and that's when Dusty radios, they see the explosion. Bill and Joe then realize that they have one Dorothy left, and this is also at the time they hear Jonas is on the radio, and he is right at the base of this tornado, which they say that the base of this tornado is like basically a mile wide.
Yeah, because they can't see it at first.
Yeah.
And that's when they're like, the base must be a mile wide. That's why we're not seeing it, because we're already there.
We're already in it, yeah. So they're like, Jonas, wait down the pack, and that's when Bill is like, hey, Jonas, what path are you on? And he's like, oh, we're going this direction. And he's like, you got to back off, like this thing's going to turn.
They're trying to save their quote-unquote enemies because they're heading right into the most dangerous tornado possible.
And Jonas's helper, he's like, maybe we should listen to him. He's like, he wouldn't put us in harm's way. Like, he's actually thinking logical about it. Jonas doesn't want to hear it, so they just keep driving, and that's when suddenly they are impaled by a, what is it? It's like an antenna for like a...
It would be like a one of those climbable antennas that people have in the country so they can get further distance television stations.
Right through their car.
Yep.
The tornado picks up the car, drops it into a field, and just blows up.
Yeah, damn. Yeah. I mean, like, pretty brutal.
Pretty
friggin' brutal.
And that's when Bill is like, he's frustrated with it, so he throws the radio aside, and they keep driving as now the tornado is back on their tail again. And this time they pass this little tractor place, and that's when the tornado starts picking up tractors and dropping them.
And that's the part where Joe says,
oh, we got debris.
Debris. And he goes, debris?
Yeah.
Because it's whole tractors. It's not debris.
No, whole tractors being dropped right in front of them, and then not to mention a fucking house then rolls onto the road.
Yeah, and they have to punch the truck through the house, and it literally goes through a dining room, it goes through a living room,
upstairs,
it goes through
a bedroom,
through a bathroom, and punches out the other side. And that's, of course, one of the greatest moments. We're going in!
And also, one of the things I caught this time that I didn't before was that bear that hits their truck and bounces off.
Oh, yeah.
The teddy bear, yeah. So now they have decided that they have one chance at this, one chance left, and they got one Dorothy left, so they're going to actually sacrifice the truck with Dorothy in it because that's the way they're going to weigh down the pack. So they set a path right towards the tornado, and they decide to sacrifice the truck, driving it right into the twister and jumping out right before it hits. They watch the truck keep going forward, and Dorothy then releases her sensors, and they have success as they are getting all their information. We see the computer light up with all of it, and also the truck completely gets sucked into the twister.
Yeah, that's gone, but their mission was a success.
Yes.
And yet again, as I mentioned, now it's like, oh, wait, we've got to not die.
Yeah, and we also have no vehicle.
No vehicle and and the shelter nearby. really doesn't matter.
No, so
with an F5.
they are booking it towards this farm. So we see this tornado is right on their path. They're booking it towards this farm. They go into the farm. They go into the farm itself, the barn, and they see, they think they're safe until they see a bunch of slaughterhouse and farming implements.
Yeah, they realize they're surrounded by nothing but sharp tools.
Yep.
Which means this is not the right place for them.
And I love Bill Paxton's line, I don't think so.
I'm going to say no on that one.
Yeah. So they leave the barn right as the tornado demolishes it, closing in on them, and that's when they find shelter at this little shed, and that's when they decide that they're going to tie themselves to this pipe because they have the pipe that goes like 30 feet down is what Paxton says. So they belt themselves to this pipe, and that's when the tornado just breaks in, starts going through the shed, and we see the coolest shot as they both take flight. They're tied around the pipe, and Joe gets to see the inside of a tornado. We are seeing the inside of a tornado as she's looking up.
Yep. And she finally gets that moment she wanted.
Finally gets that moment that she wanted. It rages on before once again dispersing again, causing more debris to fall. The tornado has left at this point. We see a family come out of their storm shelter and also surveying the damage, which it turns out to be everything except their house.
Yeah, but you know what? I like that part.
I love that part, yeah.
Because that is a reality, though, is sometimes it just goes through and it's like, why not this and this and this?
Yeah.
It just is that way.
It just didn't. And also, I love the way that they show the family emerging because we see the dad come out who looks exactly like Joe's dad.
Yeah.
Holding a kid who looks exactly like Joe, and then the rest of the family comes out.
And then the mom comes out with 2 more kids in tow. Yeah.
So the family comes out of the storm shelter. They're surveying the damage. Joe and Bill check on one another, and they celebrate their victory before Joe starts laying out, well, I gotta do the lab. You gotta do the lab analyst. I'll run the lab. And he's like, no, I'm gonna run the lab. You do the analyst. And she starts arguing with him, and he's like, you have to make everything so difficult. So the rest of the crew shows up. They're celebrating. They say they got so much information coming in right now.
And the best part is no one important got hurt.
No one important got hurt. And they also go, hey, look at the sky. And Joe and Bill are like, we've seen it. And they go in for a kiss, and the camera pulls away. And that, my friends, is the end of 1996's Twister.
Yes, indeed. A film with not the most thick story.
No.
But an incredible amount of action and fun characters and great one-liners. It is a definitive summer action blockbuster movie.
Absolutely.
And I enjoyed the hell out of it revisiting it in its entirety because, like we've said, you catch it on TV all the time.
So would you like to know some fun things about the film?
I would not.
Well, too bad. What do you think the budget was?
There's
an estimation. There is no confirmed.
90?
So 88 to 92 million is the estimation.
Okay, that was pretty close.
Opening weekend, it makes $41 million on May 10th of 1996. It grosses in the U.S. box office $241 million, and then box office international and U.S. takes in $495.7 million.
That's pretty damn good.
Yes. Filming began on May 1st in 1995 and ended on July 22nd, 1995 after 2 months, 11 weeks, or 82 days of filming.
I mean, that's actually not bad for a movie that intense.
So it was shot in Bolton, Ontario, Canada. It was shot in Guthrie, Oklahoma, Boone, Iowa, and Burbank, California.
Well, that is a combo.
Yes. With a very loud and bass-heavy surround channel, the film was notorious for destroying surround speakers for theaters worldwide.
I believe that.
Yeah.
There's another Storm movie that I saw in the theater that I literally thought the theater was going to break.
Yeah.
From how intense the sound was.
I can believe that.
I'll mention it later when we do our suggestions for similar movies.
Filming in Oklahoma was briefly delayed due to the bombing at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City on April 19th of 1995. Many of the crew went to the site to help with recovery efforts.
God damn you, Tim McVeigh. We got a movie to make.
A recording of a camel's moan was slowed down and used as the sound of the tornado.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You could hear it. I could tell you, like, listening to it and knowing that this time.
Dave is like, listen, take it from somebody who's heard a camel moan a couple of times, if you know what I mean.
And I think
wink.
you do.
That was a camel moaning.
A jet engine from a Boeing 707 was used to generate wind in some scenes.
I believe that 1,000%.
According to the making of the book, the CGI cow picked up by the Twister sisters was originally a CGI zebra from Jumanji a year prior.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. One of the reasons Jan de Bont signed on to direct the film was that given the rapid rise of CGI in the 1990s, he saw this as perhaps the last opportunity to direct a large-scale film with practical effects. Time proved that he was right after the CGI's fast evolution in later years caused the almost total abandon to make large-scale movies with practical effects.
Well, and think about this for a moment, David. 1996, or let's say 95.
Okay.
15 years after 1995, 35 millimeter film was completely phased out.
Yeah.
That's how quickly it happened.
Yeah.
But in 1995, there wasn't even high def video.
No.
There wasn't even a video camera with cinematic lenses. There wasn't even 24 frame per second video yet.
Yeah.
That would come about in 2003, 2004.
Damn.
So he's right.
Yeah.
That's how quick the industry was going to be changing a lot in the next 5 years, but the next 15 years, it was almost going to be unrecognizable to many people.
Well, it's crazy. He does Speed in 94 and then does Twister 2 years later, where, I mean, Speed was, I think, all practical effects, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I mean, there may have been a touch-up here and there. Same with Twister. There were probably a couple touch-ups, but overall, it was a very heavy practical effects film.
Yeah. Several incidents during filming made the papers, such as an altercation where director Jan de Bont has supposedly pushed a crew member into the mud. De Bont later explained that they were filming a particularly difficult scene, one that involved actors doing physical and dangerous performances with lots of wind and objects flying around. He suddenly noticed a crew member walking towards the front of the camera, so he dashed towards the man and pulled him away just in time to save the shot. There were also reports of friction between de Bont and the original director of photography, veteran Don Burgess, which led to Burgess and 20 other disgruntled crew members walking out a few weeks into shooting. De Bont, who is a former director of photography, had to operate the camera himself until Burgess was replaced by Jack N. Green.
Let me say something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It sucks when a shot is ruined by somebody carelessly walking in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't shove people.
No.
That's that's really all I'm trying to say is you do not put your hands on somebody.
No.
Now, if it were to protect them physically,
absolutely,
if they were going to get hurt or trip or something, or if that was what you're afraid of, that's one thing. But putting your hands on somebody physically and shoving them, pushing them, whatever, so that your shot's not ruined, if that happened to me, we'd have problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be like, use your goddamn words. Of course, maybe it was too loud.
Yeah.
But you can't shove people.
No, you cannot.
And it's like, and listen, like, this is produced by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
You'll get another fucking take.
Yes,
man.
you will.
Anyway.
So the production bought 8 blocks of houses in the old downtown area of the real town of Waukeeta, Oklahoma for $7,000 to $10,000 per house. These houses and an additional 30 homes built by the production were subsequently demolished by the film's crew for the scenes after the Twister passes. The town later rebuilt the town area and also kept the new fire truck used in the film.
That's good. I like that. That's a happy situation.
In a public Q&A, Bill Paxton said he didn't meet executive producer Steven Spielberg until a year and a half after finishing the movie. He said Spielberg greeted him with, "Thanks for making me a lot of money." I believe
fucking
that.
Spielberg. I love that. Yeah.
Tom Hanks was the original choice for the role of Bill Harding. Hanks read the lines with the cast and even chose the character's wardrobe, which stayed in the final film. He dropped out of pre-production and said, "It wasn't what I was trying to do with my career at that time. It called for an eccentric man with a southern flair, and that just wasn't me." Hanks went on to help Paxton land the role as he felt his Apollo 13th co-star was the perfect for the role.
I've heard of Hanks. Well, Tom Hanks produced Big Love.
Correct.
So he's always been a big proponent of Paxton.
Yeah.
I think Hanks would have been way too on the nose.
Yeah.
As a big star at that time.
So Bill Harding was almost played by Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid, John Travolta, Richard Gere, John Cusack, Nicolas Cage, Bruce Willis, Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, and Michael Keaton.
I could see Willis and I could see Cage.
Kurt Russell.
No, because Bill's not cool.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
He's a geek.
Yeah,
he's a cool geek.
Keaton could.
I feel like if Michael Keaton played Bill, we'd be wondering like where the bodies are, because he'd be like, "All right, we're gonna catch this storm," and he'd be scowling, and you'd be like, "What is wrong with him?
You want to get storms?
You want to get tornadoes? Let's get tornadoes." No, I love him, but I feel like he's too dark.
Yeah,
Paxton is that perfect like. he's eccentric, but he's not automatically threatening.
Yeah.
He's funny, but he's not too funny. You almost feel like, I don't know, he is a real sweet spot as an actor. And I feel like most of those options would be weird. Like, I mean, in 1996, Nicolas Cage might have worked really well because he was very malleable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
96 would have been the year after Con Air.
Yeah, and Con Air is a great example. Like, it was not a Nick Cage, like, being wacky. He was totally different.
Yeah.
But I think even he would have maybe been too big or not quite so subtle. Paxton, very subtle in a movie that is as subtle as a punch in the face.
This is true.
Just my opinion. So
it was Spielberg's idea to kill off the father in the opening scene. Originally, he would have survived, but it was decided his death would establish how dangerous tornadoes can be and the reason for Joe's obsession with them later in life.
If he hadn't died, it would have been like, why'd you even show us that?
Yeah.
Oh, she was scared once. Like, come on.
The explosion of the oil tanker was originally mistimed and was not caught on film. De Bont decided not to tell the studio immediately, and the stunt was reset and filmed again, costing a rumored $500,000.
It absolutely would cost that much.
Yeah. According to an urban legend, a tornado hit a drive-in theater in Stony Creek, Ontario while the movie was playing Twister. In reality, a tornado hit a drive-in theater in Thorold, Ontario on May 20th, 1996, damaging a screen. The movie was not playing when the tornado hit, but it was scheduled to play that evening.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jan de Bont, a vegetarian, has stated that he hated filming the scene at Aunt Meg's house when everyone is eating steak and eggs.
Oh, poor baby.
Days with sunshine posed a problem because they did not make background skies look suitably stormy. In order to fix this and prevent delays, several sequences, such as the truck cab sequences, had to be flooded with high-intensity key leg lights for better contrast. Hunt and Paxton both suffered minor retinal burns through much of the filming.
You'd be amazed the things you have to do to get the light to look a very specific way.
Yeah. Well, I always remember that scene in, what's the From Dusk Till Dawn documentary called?
Full Tilt Boogie.
Full Tilt Boogie, where they're waiting on that shot by the gas station for the clouds.
Yeah, they're waiting for the clouds to move and for the sun to get lower.
Yep.
Yep.
De Bont said he regretted thinking of the hail sequence because it took so long to do and was very difficult. The crew weren't able to find ice blocks big enough in Oklahoma. They ended up finding them in other states, and some were obtained from Burlington Ice Company in Iowa. The ice blocks were made special by pouring milk in with the water so the hail would show up better.
Yeah, that makes sense to make him a little bit more opaque.
In an early scene when Hoffman is sitting on a lawn chair, he lifts his leg in the air while laughing. His genitals were fully exposed and visible for a split second. It was edited out on the DVD and VHS releases, but it was leaked.
No CGI!
But it was leaked.
Release the cut with the ball.
It was leaked from VHS screeners sent to industry professionals. So somebody leaked it that was an industry professional.
Release the Philip Seymour Hoffman cut.
The project was a co-production between Universal Pictures and Warner Brothers. That is why the drive-in marquee show Cycle and Shining is its double bill.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Jonas is vilified for selling out to corporate sponsors, which is ironic considering Pepsi's very prominent product placement. When the team is making the wings for the sensors, all of the cans are Pepsi products, and almost all the shots showing the Doppler, the colors spiral inward and morph into the Pepsi symbol.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, they do. Twister floated around the industry for several years and was seen as a very sought-after project before moving into production. Very early on in development, before Jan de Bont was attached to it, Steven Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis, Tim Burton, John Carpenter, James Cameron, and John Badham were considered approached or attached to direct the film at various points in pre-production. Spielberg served as executive producer.
Wow, I could see Bob Zemeckis or Cameron.
Tim Burton.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to... You can joke about that if you want. I just hate it.
Garth Brooks, Mark Cuban, and Chris Farley turned down the role of Dustin Davis.
Mark Cuban?
That's what it said.
Was Mark Cuban acting in the 90s?
Have no idea. Christopher McDonald was considered for the role of Dr. Jonas Miller, but was already committed to Happy Gilmore in 1996, where he coincidentally plays a similar arrogant, smug villain. Alec Baldwin, Peter Green, and Hugh Laurie were also considered.
Wait, so the other ultimate prick character actor...
Yeah. Which is funny because he actually shows up in Perfect Storm as the meteorologist.
He does?
Yeah.
God damn. That's so funny.
Director Jan de Bont didn't want to work with famous actors because of their notoriously demanding nature and diva behavior. Instead of going for lesser-known actors in order not to draw away the attention from the tornadoes, he said that the hardest actor to cast was Helen Hunt. De Bont really wanted her to play the lead because he loved her strong persona and ability to boss people around, which reminded him of the Whirlwind. However, the studio was puzzled over de Bont's choice since Hunt was only known for doing TV sitcoms at the time.
And trancers!
So they pressured him into holding additional auditions. De Bont said that these auditions were really embarrassing since he had to tell every actress who turned up that he already had set his mind on Helen Hunt and afterwards informed the studio that he was unable to find a more suitable actress.
Jeez, man.
Was shot as an R-rated film that featured profanity and grislier wound details. The film was edited down to a PG-13 in post-production, which caused additional scenes with Cary Elwes and Philip Seymour Hoffman to be left on the cutting room floor due to content alone. Other profanities throughout the film were muted or replaced to secure the PG-13 rating.
Why would you ever want to do Twister as an R-rated film?
That's what I was wondering, because if there is an R-rated cut, I want to fucking see it.
I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me though. Like, it's an action movie about bad weather.
Yeah.
Like, why does it doesn't need to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
And finally, not counting the prologue set during Joe's childhood, the entire film takes place in 24 hours.
And that is very true.
That was the first time I ever noticed it from this watch, so yeah. So that is the fun facts on Twister. So what are your final thoughts on 1996's Twister?
Part of me wants to say buy it, but part of me thinks that that's nostalgia speaking.
Okay.
It is a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is certainly a rent it.
Mm-hmm.
It is certainly a film that's worth viewing and enjoying.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs to be in your library because
it's always on.
Well, and it's a fun movie, but it's not like it's a poignant movie. It's not like it's a movie that will change your life even moderately. It is just a perfect blockbuster.
Yeah.
Fun movie. It's like saying, you know, Deep Rising.
Yeah.
Is Deep Rising have to be in your collection?
It does not.
But is Deep Rising fucking awesome?
Fucking A, it is. Coming to the show soon, guarantee that.
So I think I'm going to go with rent it on this one.
I'm going to stick with a buy it. And it could be for nostalgia's sake, but I think this is just one of those movies that even if it's not perfect, it's just so much fun to watch. The runtime flies by because you and I were even talking about that.
It does fly by.
And also it's a time capsule of both storm chasing in the 90s, but also blockbusters of the 90s.
Yeah, no, it is an epitome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the few that's not like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different type of blockbuster at the time.
And it feels very loved. It feels like a very loved movie because I don't really think I've ever met anybody that doesn't like Twister, to be honest.
Maybe everybody in Belarus.
Somebody now.
To what?
So they're probably going to meet somebody now since I said the podcast.
Oh, the comments on this episode. Oh yeah, they'll be there. Don't worry.
So as we get ready to get out of here, we always like to end the show with a couple recommendations. I have two this week. First one being Night of the Twisters from 1996. This is a TV movie, and it says the residents of a small town come face to face with a deadly and unpredictable series of tornadoes. Among them is one boy struggling to keep his family safe in dangerous weather. It was one that played on ABC Family or Fox Family back in the day a lot, and I do know for a fact that YouTube may or may not have it right now. That is my first recommendation, and my second recommendation, I'm going to go with de Bont's directorial debut, Speed, from 1994. A young police officer must prevent a bomb exploding aboard a city bus by keeping its speed above 50 miles per hour. This is where you can see de Bont really has a knack for this type of blockbuster, but also Speed is just a really, really fun movie and also one where the runtime flies by again.
I love Speed.
We watched it, we revisited it a couple years ago, or like probably 4 years ago, and that was such a fun night.
Yeah, no, Speed is a hell of a good time.
Yeah, so what is your recommendation?
Well, mine is going to have to be 2014's Into the Storm.
Hell yes.
Which is I think a very underrated storm film.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater and I thought the place was going to explode because the storm sounds were so intense. It's got a great cast. It's got Matt Walsh in it, a comedian I love.
Yep.
It's got Richard Armitage, Sarah Wayne Callies in it. Callie's in it as well. A lot of recognizable faces, but most of all, one of the most daunting storm scenes ever.
Yeah.
Where Matt Walsh is in his storm truck
and
it gets pulled into the tornado and he ends up at the top of the storm.
Yeah.
And can see above everything. And it's like the most beautiful, terrifying thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think Into the Storm is a perfect storm horror movie.
Yeah.
I caught it on cable like 3 or 4 years after I saw it in the theater while I was in a hotel, like traveling.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, this is a good movie.
It's fun. Yeah.
It still holds up.
Don't let the first 20 minutes turn you off from it because you do meet the redneck characters that really don't do much of the storm stuff for the first 15.
I mean, it's kind of a found footage style movie too, which I think makes it scarier.
It absolutely does.
So I can't recommend Into the Storm enough. I think people should definitely check it out if you haven't already.
So those are our recommendations for this week. Would you like to know what we're talking about next week?
Absolutely not.
Well, you should, because we're going back to children's movies with 1993's The Sandlot.
One of my all-time favorite films from when I was a kid.
Yes.
A film that might make me, generally makes me cry.
It'll make you cry.
So, we have an email.
Ooh.
So, let's see. Okay. This one is from, by the way, if you want to email us, you can send us an email at doyouevenmovie@gmail.com or go to doyouevenmovie.com.
Yep.
This is from our buddy, Kevin Potoff.
Okay.
He said, the subject line is, my kid just got her driving permit.
Oh, man.
Hello, guys. My daughter has just received her driver's permit. Can you please review License to Drive 1988? The two Coreys kill it in this movie. Thanks for the great entertainment. I promote Do You Even Movie and Weekly Spooky as much as possible.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Kevin Potoff.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's a possibility. I haven't seen License to Drive in so long.
That could be a fun one for soon.
Yeah.
I mean,
figure it out.
It's a summer film.
Well, I can make
Dave is the man. So Dave will, if it happens, it'll be because of Dave, and if you're let down, it's also because of Dave.
Just gonna see how easy it is to find right now, because I know that DVD and Blu-ray I think are out of print.
I think you're right. Is it stream? It's streaming, right?
It's gotta be.
Nope.
It's gotta be.
It's nowhere.
Hang on, it's loading.
No, it's not.
It says it's loading. Oh. No.
Yeah, you could rent it.
You can rent it on Prime.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's absolutely a possibility.
But yeah, absolutely. It's definitely in our wheelhouse.
Absolutely.
So, and do you want to give away what we're doing in August?
Oh, yes. I would love to give away what we're doing in August. So unfortunately, this past week, we did find out that a legendary comedian, musician, painter, actor, a man carried many hats, Martin Mull, left us.
Carried many hats.
Carried many hats indeed.
Okay.
We unfortunately lost him this past week to, I think, was it age 80?
I think he was a little older.
Okay, 80 or 81, I can't remember. But we are going to kick off August, or should I call it Mulgust?
Please don't. By
highlighting 4 of our favorite Martin Mull films, because the one thing that I did notice is, while he is in everything, his film list is a little shorter than I thought it was, because he was on TV all the time.
Well, I remember the first time I remember seeing him was on Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yep.
So, and yes, passed away at 80 years old.
80 years old, yeah. So we will be kicking off August, or Mulgust, as I said.
Yeah.
It's either gonna be, I think it's either gonna be Clue or Mrs. Doubtfire were the two that we decided on.
Don't give away everything.
Oh no, I'm not.
You just give away that it's going to be Martin Mull movies.
Yeah, well, I'm just getting people excited.
Are you?
Oh yes. Okay. Oh my yes.
Well, we'll be back for that, but we want to remind you all, you can email us at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. You can find out more about the show at doyouevenmovie.com. Please consider supporting us on Patreon.
Yes.
It really makes a big difference. If you give us $3 a month, we'll give you every episode 4 days early on the Patreon.
Yes, sir.
And we really do appreciate the support very, very much. And it is very late at night.
Yes, it is.
I am so tired.
Yes.
I might have a little bit of a headache. So I'm just going to do this before I kill you. Now it's pointed at your damn mouth.
Oh, fair enough. Hey, sounds so much better. Oh, let's just do the show again.
All right, take 2. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We will see you next Tuesday on Do You Even Movie. Adios.
We'll see ya.